All right, good evening and welcome to this evening's Fireside Chat, sponsored by the NNOA's Transition Assistant Team. I'm Captain Donald Nisbet, and I'll be your moderator this evening. We're pleased to have Mr. Robert Alleyne join us this evening. He is the founder and CEO of Alleyne Consulting Group. It's a management and consulting and IT solutions company. He graduated from the Naval Academy, and after his naval service, became an entrepreneur and started his own business. While in uniform, he worked in procurement and logistics, as well as supporting training for military Sealift Command. He worked in leadership and in a number of profit and nonprofit organizations in the role of direct sales, marketing, logistics, project management, and IT consultant for companies such as Lexus, Target, YMCA, New York Life, and Affinity Health Plan. He's got a Master's of Science degree in Health Promotion from California University of Pennsylvania. And he earned his Executive MBA from Rutgers Business School in Newark, New Jersey. He's got a Lean Six Sigma Green Belt certification. And as a business owner, he competed in the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program. He believes in giving back is very important and has volunteered in a number of programs in the New York City metro area. And he has organized numerous hiring and training events for military veterans. And before I turn it over, I'd like to just again thank him for taking the time this evening. And I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Robert Alleyne.
All right. Good evening, and thank you, Captain Nisbet, for that introduction, and thank you for allowing me to speak today at this event with NNOA. I take this as an honor and a privilege to be able to be part of this program. So my name is Robert Alleyne. I want to say thank you again for those who decided to take time to hear what I had to say from my Navy experience to being a business owner to sitting on the board of a couple of different organizations because just one, to be able to share the military transition from service to civilian sector, to hopefully be helpful to those who are making that transition in the near future or who recently did it, to be able to provide some assistance and thoughts and potentially help with respect to how they are doing it and what they were looking to do. So I would like to start off by giving a little about my background. I appreciate you reading my bio, but I'll start it from the time from when I entered military service. So I entered military service coming through the Naval Academy Prep School. And then I completed my time at the Naval Academy Prep School and went to the U.S. Naval Academy. While I was at the academy, I did play on the basketball team for a few years, but ended up focusing before I graduated on just studies. So I stopped playing my junior year while I was at the Naval Academy. I graduated and was commissioned as a supply co-officer, where I was stationed out in San Diego, California. And as a supply corps officer, my first duty station was the LHD-4, the Boxer. And on there, I worked in a couple of capacities as a wardroom officer. Also, I worked as the retail operations officer. And in working on that, did a deployment, a mid, Westpac deployment. I'm sorry, it's been a few years since I had to say the name of the deployment. It was a Westpac deployment that I had to do. And while I was out at sea, was on a ship that held approximately 4,500 people. So the point of the LHD-4 was to transport Marines. And so with working with Marines, working with different commands on board LHD-4, gained a lot of great experience when I went on the Westpac. Then I did a shore duty at Point Loma with Military Sealift Command. And so with Military Sealift Command, in that capacity, worked with 32 ships located on the East Coast and the West Coast at deployments to help resupply Navy ships while they were forward deployed and also during their tours of duty. And so that was another interesting experience because working with Military Sealift Command, I was working with the Navy Exchange. And so with respect to food service and also Navy Exchange, helping ships to get certified, making sure that they had the shipments that they need so that they could help resupply Navy ships while they were underway. That was a great experience. I truly appreciated my time when I was doing that in Point Loma, California. Also, while I was in the Navy, started playing basketball again, and I played on the All Navy team. Also played on the All Armed Forces basketball team. So that was a great experience while I was in the Navy. And it was one of those things that when I was coming to the end of my initial commitment, should I stay in and continue with my military service or step out and try something new? I decided to complete my time of service and then step out into the civilian sector to try something new. The something new was I was going to try to be a professional basketball player. So that was what I was going to initially do when I came out. So I went to a number of different workouts. This was around the time that the developmental league, it was called the developmental league when I was coming out the Navy. It was not the G League, it was the developmental league was started. And there was different opportunities and different workouts that I attended with them. I've tried out with a number of different teams with the developmental league, also with the CBA. That was another big league during that time when I was coming out of service. And it did not work out in that capacity. But again, a lot of great experience. Was able to travel to a number of different places doing that and trying out with different teams. But glad that I was able to chase that dream, but eventually had to get into the corporate world. And so getting a normal job, as some people would say. So after I tried playing professional basketball, I worked for a number of not-for-profit and for-profit entities in different positions as director or manager, with my background being a supply officer. Worked in a number of different entities doing that. And then eventually I started getting into IT consulting. I started working for a company that specialized in IT consulting, and I started working with a number of different entities in that capacity, doing a number of different tasks such as QA testing, business analyst, project management. These were different areas of IT that I was working in, working with different entities that required these services. And it was a pretty good experience. I eventually started working with a health insurance company, working in a number of different roles with a health insurance company. And then from there, decided to transition to start my own business. I started my own business in 2017. It was a little scary experience. It was one of those things that when you do that, you're like, am I ready for this type of experience? Am I ready to start a business on my own? But a lot of the experience that I had from being in the military, from playing sports, from the jobs that I had previously in the for-profit and the not-for-profit world, they ended up being very helpful and giving me the confidence to be able to move forward. I went back to school in 2013 to earn an MBA. I ended up graduating in 2015. So it was an executive MBA, to be clear. And so I was doing that while I was working full time and going to school full time on the weekends. And so it was one of those things that I thought would be helpful for my background for when I wanted to start a business. And so when I finished in 2015, started thinking about different ways that I could start my business. And that's when I started in 2017. As was stated, name of my business is Alleyne Consulting Group. And what we do is management consulting and IT solutions. With management consulting, we do project management, we do process improvement, we do training. Under the IT solutions capacity, we do systems integration, data networking, IT desktop support. And these are different services that we provide. A lot of the work we do is with the government contracting. And so we do government contracting at the state level and the city level. I'm here in New York City. So New York State and New York City have not done much work yet with the federal level, but that is one of the goals of what we're looking to move with the government contractor that we're doing. We work with a few corporate entities here in New York City, providing some subcontracting work on some different projects that we do. And so this has been a great experience being an entrepreneur and starting my own business. It took a lot of different background skills and just networking. And so these are some of the things that if a person who's currently in service is looking to go into the civilian sector, just understanding networking, sales skills, project management, these are skills that if you're looking to start your own business would be very helpful. If you do not think that you're strong in those skills, you might want to develop those skills because it's more than just managing people. You've got to be able to see the big picture and be able to provide direction and strategy for how you want your business to go and move forward. There are a number of different programs that are out there that can be helpful. There are different incubators, there's different accelerators, things of that nature that could be helpful. So a couple of things I want to highlight as I've been working in the civilian sector and I started my own business. As I stated earlier, I graduated from the United States Naval Academy. One of the things I do as an alum that I volunteer doing is I'm a blue and gold officer. Now, as a blue and gold officer, I help do interviews here in New York City for students who are interested in attending the United States Naval Academy. I do a screening interview with potential candidates who would like to potentially attend the academy. And that's one of the things that helps me just remember my times at the academy. Another thing that I do is I'm part of the leadership team of the Naval Academy Minority Association. We know it as NAMA. So with the Naval Academy Minority Association, I'm part of the leadership team in respect to how I'm currently working with students who are interested in the Academy, but also being able to speak about the Naval Academy and try to find students of color who in different communities that may be in underserved areas here in New York City who may not know about the Naval Academy. Because I'll be quite honest, when I was in high school, I attended Bronx High School of Science. When I was in high school, I did not know anything about the Naval Academy. It wasn't until I started getting recruiting and then I started doing some research about it that I found out more about the Naval Academy and saw the great opportunity of what it was about. And so what I like to do is to go to schools where there's strong academic programs in underserved areas here in New York City and let students know about the different opportunities at the Naval Academy. And so that's one of the things I do with NAMA. Also, one of the programs that we work with through NAMA that is actually coming up. If you want to look up some of the different programs we have, I could always put it in the chat later, the website, but there's a leadership symposium that NAMA is part of organizing at the U.S. Naval Academy. And we highlight different groups. The first group that we highlighted were Black students and 150 years at the Naval Academy. We also highlighted Hispanic and Latinx another year. We're planning on highlighting women in our future leadership symposiums. And so these are different groups that we want to make sure, because it's the diversity of having these different groups and then in leadership at these different in the different capacities that makes us what we are today. And so when we have these diverse groups working together and providing the input that they provide, then we are better leaders and we are better as a Navy and better as a country for having this here. And so with the Leadership Symposium, we try to highlight these things during that time. So that's one of the programs that the Naval Academy Minority Association puts together. There's also, they try to help students get into summer STEM programs at the Academy. And also we work with programs in communities in different cities and different states with respect to providing STEM workshops. So there's programs we do around the Army-Navy game. So as we know, the Army-Navy football game travels to different states and different cities each year. And before the Army-Navy game, we look to find middle school students, middle schools where we can provide STEM workshops in those schools. So we'll bring robotic kits. We'll bring someone who could speak in uniform about the academy and to, again, start planting the seeds in different schools in the community. And we tend to look for schools that are in underserved areas and also service students of color where we try to do these programs. And so that is one of the things that we do with NAMA, and these are the different programs that we provide. So one of the things with giving my background and understanding today is that one of the things that I'm part of is I currently sit on the board of the Metro New York chapter of the Black MBA. And so in that position, I'm the Director of Military, Veteran, and Community Affairs. And with that, being in that position, one of the things that I do, and this is a volunteer position that I do here in New York, but we have numerous chapters. And when I say numerous chapters of the Black MBA across the US. And there's a program that we started here in the New York chapter called Those Who Served. And so essentially, a person like me who was in the military and trying to better understand how to navigate the civilian sector with getting a job, developing the right skills to be prepared for the workplace, there should be organizations that could be helpful to provide resources to these people that are coming out the military. And so with one of the things that we provide, there's PMP certification workshops. So those who are looking to earn their PMP certification, we have different career fairs, virtual career fairs. We have other workshops, so like soft skills, so like interviewing skills. And we have different workshops like that that could help people who are transitioning from the military into the civilian sector that could be very beneficial. So speaking specifically about the Metro New York chapter, and then I'll highlight some of the other chapters, but speaking specifically about the Metro New York chapter, I've worked specifically with this chapter with a veterans hiring event that we did at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. That's where the Brooklyn Nets play. We did a veterans hiring event there. We had the commissioner for New York for the Department of Veteran Service. He was our keynote speaker. We had a number of different corporate entities and state and city entities that were looking to hire military folks. They attended this event, and that was a great turnout. Also, we've done military business networking events around the Army-Navy game. So again, in conjunction with NAMA, because NAMA has partnered with the Metro New York chapter, Black MBA, and other chapters like the Philadelphia chapter and the New Jersey chapter with respect to doing military networking corporate events around the Army-Navy game. So the last one we did was when the Army-Navy game was in Philadelphia. There was a facility that we set up. It was no charge to any of the people who were attending. And again, was providing an atmosphere because we know a lot of military folks would gather for the camaraderie of what the Army Navy game is. But also, why can't we network with one another? Why can't we find opportunities for careers and jobs in that environment as well? So now you're coming, you're enjoying the game, and also you may develop a network to get a new job, or you may be eligible to get a new contact or learn a new skill because you developed with a different entity so that you could be able to advance in your career. So it provides that type of environment. Just for mention, the Army Navy game will be in Washington, D.C. This year, 2024, and in 2025, it will be in Baltimore, Maryland. And so in both those locations, we are planning, in conjunction with the Naval Academy Minority Association, working with the chapters in the greater Maryland area and also the DC area to be able to put a business military business networking event around those events so that people can come together and improve their possibilities for getting a job or networking to help with promotion or just being able to ask questions so that they could better further their career. So we've done events like that. We've had events, networking events around the Congressional Black Caucus. We've done that. Last year was our first year doing that. It was well attended at the Congressional Black Caucus, where we had those that were still in the military and those who recently got out the military were able to attend. And again, with the same mindset of what we do around the Army Navy game, be able to connect and be able to talk about career development and potential opportunities down the road. And so, in my capacity as a director of military and veterans affairs, and also community affairs, is that we want to make sure those who are in the transition program, because I know NNOA has a transition program where they want to make sure that their members are aware of the different resources that are available out there. Wanted to make sure that the members are aware of the different Black MBA chapters that's out there. If you go to their website, you'll be able to see that they're located in different areas. And I'm just naming some different areas just off the top of my head. There's a chapter in the DC area. There's a chapter in the greater Maryland area that we've been connecting with. And they will be supporting the Leadership Symposium that's going to be taking place at the end of this week in Annapolis, Maryland. They're going to go support and see in different ways that they potentially can support those who are looking to transition, and also to see if there's different ways that we can be helpful with helping people in the military when they're looking to transition into the civilian sector. In the New York chapter, we have a number of different events up here that have been helpful. We have an event coming up on May 10th. It's an Entrepreneur Accelerator Summit. And essentially, we're going to talk about different topics about government contracting, doing business overseas. We're going to have some speakers who work with the city, with the state. We're going to have some corporate entities discussing supplier diversity. And so this event that will be taking place on May 10th in New York City, we're going to be doing it at that time with a number of different entities. And so with that being the case, there's a number of different resources that's out there. And I see one of my colleagues putting some of these links in the chat. If you're able to take a look at some of these links in the chat to see some of these events that may be of service for you, these are the types of programs that we provide. You do not need to have an MBA to participate in Black MBA programs. If you're looking to go back to school and earn your MBA, we could be helpful with that as well, with helping you to identify schools that might be beneficial to you, letting you different programs. A big part of what the Black MBA is about is to try to work with people of color, people who have served, to be able to maximize the resources that are available to help advance. To help them advance in their careers and in their development. And so just wanting to provide this network and let them know that once they transition, there's still organizations out here that's willing to support and be behind them as they are trying to make that next step. And so that's a big part of what I do with the Metro New York chapter. And one of the things is I was just thinking, what would if I was transitioning within the next year, what would I be doing now? One, I'd be looking at different transition assistance programs as such as what NNOA has, because I understand there's different meetings that you do on a regular basis to help people transitioning find different opportunities. There's also a program called Skill Bridge. Now, Skill Bridge, what that is that when you're coming up on your final 6 months, I believe they give you 6 months, or it might be a year, but I think it's 6 months of your service, is an opportunity to be part of the Skill Bridge program. Now, what the Skill Bridge program is that you will still, if you are approved, now let me say this clearly and I'll say it again. If you are approved, because remember, you're still in the military and your command needs to approve this, but if you are approved, your final 6 months, you would still be getting paid your military pay, but they will allow you to a degree to intern at a corporate entity that has been approved for the Skill Bridge program. So essentially, there's different companies in the civilian sector who have different jobs. If there's a job that you're potentially interested in, or a field you're particularly interested in, you can look through the Skill Bridge program. Alleyne Consulting Group, my company, is one of those approved companies. They provide you with an opportunity to get experience in the civilian sector in an area that you may be interested in going into, and you're getting paid from the military. And so this is helping you with your transition into the civilian sector. And so with that being the case, when you're moving into the civilian sector, it gives you some experience. I've heard different time frames because, again, depends on command needs. They may allow you to do the full 6 months. Sometimes they may allow you to do 3 months. Sometimes it's 2 months. Sometimes they may say, we can't allow you to go because of your position. But I would look into the Skill Bridge program. It's spelled just like how it sounds, as one word, Skill Bridge. And so that's one of the things, if you're coming into your final year, I would suggest that might be something that you may want to do if you're looking to transition. And so as just giving some experience of what I've done as starting my own business, one of the things is that one of the things is I wasn't sure, and it's just developing that confidence to start your own business. You would think, oh, I was a military leader, a military officer. We've been in trained for different situations, but also it's a difference when you're starting your own business. You're like, do I have enough capital? Do I have a business plan? What is my business going to do? These were different things that I had to think about. And so coming back to what we do with the Black MBA, part of the networking is because, as I was stating, and this is not the only organization, but again, this is an organization that I'm part of, and I could vouch for the things that they have done for a person like me with respect to growing my business. So this is why I speak highly about this organization. Again, I volunteer at this organization, so this is not a paid endorsement or anything of that nature. I work with them so that I can also let other people who are transitioning into the civilian sector see the benefits of being a part of an organization like this. So if you need some assistance with like putting together a business plan, being able to, because a key part of starting a business is developing your market and understanding what your product is and who you will sell to. Do you need capital starting your business? Now, there's no loans that's offered through the Black MBA, but again, we have a number of different people who are members of the Black MBA, and some of them works in banks, some of them work in CDFIs. Those are like community development funding institutions. Some of them work in other capacities. That this is why you network, is to meet people like that who could be potentially helpful for the development of your business. So some of the pitfalls that I was able to navigate was a key thing is you want to make sure you have a business plan that you put together. You want to also make sure that you have enough funding. You want to also know who is your client, because before you jump out there and start a business, one of the good advice that somebody told me is they say you should know who your first client will be. You should know who the first person would be that would buy your services. If you're still trying to figure that out when you start, you can do that, but it makes it a lot harder. You might want to do that research before you start. And that's what a good business plan will do for you, is because you'll do SWOT analysis, you'll look at the different opportunities that you have, and then you can identify the best ways to advance. And so these are certain things as starting my own business, I saw as potential pitfalls that I was able to navigate that has been very helpful to me. And so in wrapping up, and I know there may be some questions from people who are attending, it's been a great experience. A lot of what helps me move forward and just the mindset. If you are a military officer, and you've served on different deployments, you served at different locations, you know how to sacrifice. You know how to plan your time. You have the discipline. You have the abilities to start a business if you choose to become an entrepreneur, because the same things that it would take to start your own business is why a lot of corporate entities look to hire military folks, is because of the things that I just mentioned. And they know that you could be able to do that for their company. My question to you is, if you're able to do that for somebody else's company, why can't you do that for your own company? It's a question that I just have for those who might be considering starting their own business. Question that I see in the chat is, if you could do it all over again, knowing what you know, what would I do differently? I'll be quite honest. I'm a big person because I'm a person of faith. Everything happens for a reason. And so in doing it, either I gained some experience, either I made some connection or something to that nature that has put me in the position that I am now. And so to answer the question directly, I wouldn't change anything, because it's those things that I did, the decisions I made. Some people may say, oh, well, you could have avoided this, you could have avoided that. But yeah, but then that experience that I missed out on there would not be available to help me know how to navigate going forward. I'm one of those people that say, you never lose. You always win, because you either win the situation or you win with gaining experience about that situation. So if you look at it that way, then you never lose. And so you're always gaining something from whatever moment there is. And so with that being the case, I wouldn't change anything. The experience I had at the academy, the time I got to play basketball while I was in the Navy, the time when I came into the civilian sector trying to play pro basketball, working a number of different jobs in the for-profit and the not-for-profit worlds, eventually getting into IT, and eventually starting my business. This is all that made Robert Alleyne who he is now, and able to be part of different organizations such as the Naval Academy Minority Association, such as the Metro New York chapter of the Black MBA. And these are different things that I've been part of and happy to be part of and be able to share these experiences with those who are here and hopefully those who will see this because it's recorded at a later time. So with that, not sure if there's any other questions or any other items pertaining to any of the points that I made earlier. And I'm open to any of the questions, whether it has to do with my military experience, whether it has to do when I worked in different areas in a corporate and not-for-profit space, whether with what I do with the Metro New York chapter, the Black MBA, or with NAMA. I'm open to questions on any of those topics.
All right. So Robert, thank you very much for taking the time to kind of walk us through that. I'm going to take a little liberty here. Hope you guys don't take offense, but I'm kind of checking to see unfamiliar names, and I'm gonna call you out. And what I'm gonna ask is, if you wouldn't mind, just while we have Robert here, let's take advantage of the opportunity. So Anton, Nathan, and Michael and Denisha, we are here for you. Robert is our presenter tonight, but everybody else in this group is part of the transition assistance team, and we all kind of come to the team with a different background. And so to the extent that, we can help support you both now and in the future, what I'll ask is if you wouldn't mind, just come off mute, and I'll kind of set up the cadence, but just come off mute. Tell us who you are, kind of where you are in your journey before transitioning, and what is it that you'd like to get, out of the team. All right. So let's start with Anton.
Hey, good afternoon. Thanks, Robert, for talking. Yeah, I'm Anton Orr. Appreciate what you had to say. I just transitioned about a year ago, so I also use the Skill Bridge program. So I also endorse that program. I use the Hiring Our Heroes version of it here in the DC area, but it was a great opportunity for me to spend, 3 months in corporate America with a company that sponsored me. And I ended up getting hired with that company. So I'm now with Leidos for about a year. So I did the transition, and yeah, thanks for sharing. And I would also endorse Skill Bridge or Hiring Our Heroes, but I'm still a work in progress, going through all the new phases of life after retirement or transition from the military. So it's been good so far. Thanks.
That's great to hear. Where are you located?
I'm in the DC area, so I live in Virginia, Fairfax, Virginia, and I work with Leidos, and I'm out of their Arlington offices.
Okay, so as I was discussing, there's chapters of the Black MBA in numerous areas across the U.S. And so if you look up National Black MBA Association, if you do a Google or a Bing search for National Black MBA Association, you can find the chapter that is closest to you that may be of benefit to you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Sure. Did you have any questions or anything? I understand that you were confirming Skill Bridge, but is there any questions? Because approximately how long have you been in the civilian sector?
1 year last month. So
Okay. If you don't mind me asking, which area of business are you working in?
so I'm doing business development strategy stuff and for Leidos. So, part of my transition was, of course, deciding where to go next and what to do next. And I'm still figuring that out. But it was kind of between small businesses or big businesses, and I was talking to a bunch, not a bunch, but a few different organizations, and I settled with the large business initially just to kind of learn industry. And a lot of people in the DC area kind of move into defense contracting, so that's where I am right now. I'm not sure if that's my final destination, but it's a good place to learn a lot and good company with good people. So.
Understood. So for those people that are in DC, Maryland, Virginia area, I had shared something with Captain Nesbitt with respect to events we are planning on having down in that area. So we have coming up in September, there's a few events we have coming up. There's the Congressional Black Caucus. We're doing a networking event that will be happening then. Also, the Black MBA National Conference. So these are all the different chapters. There's a conference that's going to be happening in DC in September as well. And then also, that was what was highlighted earlier, is that the Army-Navy game will be in Washington, excuse me, where the Washington Commanders play. And I understand that's in Maryland, but it's where the Washington Commanders play in December, the second Saturday in December. And so we're going to be looking to do events probably that Friday before the Army-Navy game on that Saturday. So just letting those on this video meeting and potentially who will see that flyer know about upcoming events that will be happening.
Awesome. And Anton, thank you for joining us tonight. I know we had a chance to meet, and you're like exactly the type of person that we're trying to help, 2 years ago. And to the extent that you can help the team, I'm going to ask you offline if you can kind of provide your perspective while it's still fresh, because I know that a lot of lessons learned. I'm 2.5 years removed, but there's still some challenges that kind of pop up. And Robert, if you can give me an amen, I mean, you're never done transitioning. So
It's very true. It's very true. And I take this as an opportunity as a former military officer and transitioning to civilian sector, wanting to support my brothers in arms who would eventually be making that next step. So just want to make sure that we provide a transition, because we didn't do it. We didn't have that camaraderie, and we didn't have that experience of what we did in the military just to forget it because we're now civilians. So that's part of why I do what I do. One quick question, Anton, what was your commissioning source? How did you get commissioned to be an officer?
Yeah, I was a Naval Academy person as well. So
Okay.
yeah, just to kind of dogpile on what Captain Nisbet was saying. I was at a conference doing business development stuff in January, and I met him there. But one thing, I was also in the same community, F-18 community, and I was most of my career was out on the West Coast in Lemoore. So there was no NNOA organization, just because there were no Black officers. But so it was kind of a lonely road in that regard, and it was interesting. Like Captain Nisbet said, a year after I transitioned, I kind of found you guys. But anyways, glad to be here now. So
Yes. Part of the reason why I asked that question, and this is for anybody else who are Academy grads, because with respect to being able to join NAMA, we look for alum to be able to be part of the Naval Academy Minority Association. So I'm just putting the website in the link so that you can take a look at that, and anyone else who may be interested in it. It's usnama.com, and I just put that in the link. May want to take a look at that just to see different opportunities, because again, that's another networking source. Because NAMA, what year did you graduate?
a long time ago, 95.
95. Okay. It was 3 years before me. So you probably know some of the people that I know, like Larry Green, Wes Cooper, TJ Hall. Those were the guys from 95 that I remember.
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course, these
awesome.
are just babies to this 1981 guy. I
So
know.
I wanted to give.
Mention NAMA. That is a resource that we have been building over time, and I'm not quite an original, one of the very beginning ones, but I was kind of on the ground floor. And they got a great conference coming up this weekend, beginning on, I think it's Thursday, of grads that are coming back. And this will be my first time going into Flugel Hall, which is the new Alumni Association building. And so it's a fraternity within a fraternity.
Yes.
And it behooves all of us to find those grads, because I mean, it's kind of like, when you lease a car for 2 years, you know that it's going to be returned in a couple of years. And so we can look at year groups and say, okay, that year group has about reached its 2 for 7, and those guys are going to be transitioning out. And so if we interface through either HBCU alumni or the Naval Academy Alumni Association, it might help us to kind of identify those year groups that in some quantity, of course, we want them to stay around and retire at 30, but the reality is quite a few of those guys do their minimum service obligation, and then they're looking to transition out. So I think if we play the numbers game, and if we interface with like NNOA or the Alumni Association, we might be able to find by name those individuals and at least inquire and point them towards transition assistance and seeing what we can help them with.
I am open speaking with you offline to helping to make those connections, and the event that you were bringing up that is coming up is that leadership symposium that I was speaking about, the USNA Leadership Symposium.
Yeah.
And NAMA is one of the prime organizers for that event, because we understand that diversity in leadership is very important. And so that is part of why NAMA is involved with that. And hence the name, the Naval Academy Minority Association, making sure that our voices are heard and we're put in the right position so that we all can be successful.
Yeah, yeah. As we well know, diversity and inclusion processes and programs are under attack nationwide. I mean, corporations are shutting down they're firing their chief diversity officers. They're letting them go. They're afraid of being sued in the federal and in the sector across the board if they push the initiative of diversity and inclusion. For what reasons, I can't tell you. There's no one that can prove to me that you don't have a good argument when you talk about ensuring that everybody is included in the talent pool and that they're incentivized to do the absolute best they can for whatever organization they work for. Why that's a bad thing, I don't get it.
All right. Michael, want to give you a chance to get some airtime, if you so desire. We have about 12 minutes, but
Thanks, Ro. Appreciate you.
This is a point of personal privilege. I'd like to say thank you, Mike Files, for joining this call. This is my classmate. We attended the Naval Academy Prep School together, and we also graduated from the Naval Academy in the same year group. And it's good to see my good friend and colleague on this call today. So appreciate you joining, Mike. I appreciate you a lot.
okay.
Mike, if you're saying something, you're muted.
That's all.
There he is. He unmuted quickly and went back on mute.
He's either shy.
We keep in contact with one another, so we don't need to have a full conversation through this here.
Okay, so I'll leave it open it for a few more questions, and then I'll turn it over to you, Robert, if you want to kind of conclude. So, anybody else?
If I may, because one of my colleagues from the Black MBA, he was on here. If there are some points that might be helpful, because he works as a director in different areas as well. Mr. Ken Holly, he has the name. He decided to use my name for his screen name, but he's on here, and I saw him joining. Is there Ken, if you want to come off mute, is there anything that we would like to highlight about different things about the Black MBA that I might have missed, or things that you want to highlight about some of the events that you put in the chat?
Okay, can you see me?
Yes.
All right. Well, first and foremost, thank you, Rob, for extending this opportunity for me to be able to share a few words. And to everyone on the call, good evening. I'm Ken Holly, VP of Strategic Initiatives and Development for the chapter. We actually cover 5 different pillars, which speaks to entrepreneurship, career opportunities, education, lifestyle, and I might be leaving another one out, but I think you guys get the drift. I mean, I would say, with regards to our programs, the best thing you can do is just show up. You know what I mean? You show up, you engage, we'll be able to have, these type of dialogues, find out more about the different offerings that we have. Specific, we're talking about professional development. So professional development is one of the areas that I cover. And right now, I'll put in the chat that we actually have a professional development session going on right now. It's a 2-month session, and you'll see that it's placed in the chat as well. We also, from a career standpoint, we have what's called Careers With. And so Careers With is where companies that we partner with have an opportunity to be able to talk about the various products and services that they offer. Majority of the organizations that we work with are in the financial sector, but we're also in cosmetic and healthcare and a number of other areas as well. Rob touched on the entrepreneur component. Entrepreneurship is very, very near and dear to our hearts, where we want to position the folks in our network who are interested in identifying new opportunities, to kind of branch out as entrepreneurs or even looking to, further develop their business, such as what Rob has been doing, with us, and also being able to help provide resources to be able to build that pipeline, as we seek to advance those of us that are interested in entrepreneurship. So we do have that Entrepreneur Accelerator program coming up that Rob made mention of. That's on May 10th. It is a Friday. It'll be in the Wall Street area. If that's not something that you can attend, there's also a mixer that'll be taking place in the evening, to be able to connect with a like minds. It'll be taking place on a rooftop in the Wall Street area. So, folks will have an opportunity to basically go through the day's program with different vendors, corporate organizations, government entities, talking about how do we leverage and access the resources available, as those of us who are looking to see contracts from the government. And then being able to take those conversations over to the networking portion of the evening, and, just kind of, build those deeper connections with some of the individuals that may be there, or meet some new folks. So, that's a lot of what we do. We put on different conferences, we put on networking events, and then, those that are there, have an opportunity to meet our leadership. I don't have a problem, and Rob as well doesn't have a problem with, if there is something that you're trying to execute, if we know that there's some of the players in the room, we will definitely, provide a warm introduction to those individuals as well.
Thank you, Ken. Appreciate that. And thank you for highlighting some different aspects about our pillars. I put my Black MBA email in the chat. I also put my mobile number for those who may have questions or think about questions afterwards, or would like to get in contact with me at a different time after this. I put my email and mobile number in the chat.
Hello, this is Bruce Davis.
How you doing,
Can you
Bruce?
hear me? All right. Yeah, I just wanted to say I am very pleased with the direction and the connection of this organization and what you represent, and the NNOA Transition Assistance Team. I think this is a very positive development in that to really boost up the networking potential for folks that when they leave the service, that there's something ready for them. We've had the Naval or the Service Academy Career Conference that I mean, it was a good thing, but this sort of helps distill down what that organization is doing for our type of unique needs and network connections. So you're doing the things that I would hope we are someone out there was doing, and that's great. I did also want to as a former Blue and Gold officer and as former area coordinator, Blue and Gold area coordinator in the state of Texas. I want to say hello to Michael Fowles, who worked with me when he was in a similar role for about 3 or 4 years, and also just reflect on what Tony Barnes mentioned about DE&I coming under attack, as I live in one of those states where they are actually have targeted at institutions of higher learning. The various universities here are in rapid succession started letting their DE&I officers go. So that's just a few things on my mind. But again, thank you for participating.
Thank you for your comments. And yes, we want to make sure that we're addressing specific needs that we may have coming from different communities. But we want to make sure that it's understood the different resources that are available. And so just to highlight a couple of these things, whether you're in service, out the service, just highlighting what we do at NAMA, also highlighting what we do with Black MBA. Again, I'm part of the Metro New York chapter of Black MBA, but we have a number of different chapters across the US, and you could find the chapter that's closest to you. And Captain Nesbitt, if that flyer I'd sent previously with like the different events that's coming up, if that could be shared at another time with the participants, so that they're aware of the different events that will be coming up in the DMV area that may be of interest to them.
Yes, so still have a copy, and we can certainly kind of work with the organization to see if that's something that they're amenable to posting on the website.
I've also dropped, for those that are, gentlemen just made mention of Texas. So we do have a couple of chapters, National Black MBA chapters in Texas. I just dropped two websites of the chapters. I think we may also have a San Antonio chapter. I'm going to double check that, but those are 2 chapters for those that are in Texas. I know the military is pretty big in Texas, so just wanted to also provide that as well.
Okay. Well, I think we've come to the end of our time, and I'd like to, Robert, thank you on behalf of the team. I know you got ambushed last time you met, and we wrangled you into showing up today, but I really appreciate it. Certainly having this recording, I think it'll be important for long term, and to the extent that we can get continue to get participation. I think that the group will our efforts will start to bear fruit. So I'll turn it over to you for some parts before we stop the recording and bid everyone adieu.
Thank you. And thank you again. It was an honor and a privilege to be able to speak today with NNOA. I respect what NNOA does and the history of NNOA. And so this is why I found it important to want to make sure that I highlighted these different entities and resources, and look forward to building future relationships with NNOA for its members, and being able to develop different opportunities from these partnerships. So thank you again, and hope you enjoy the rest of your week.
Okay, thanks everyone. And next Fireside Chat will be on a Tuesday, 28 May at 1900. So please join us then. Thank you again, Robert. And we can stop the recording.